Hi there, welcome to today's workout. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm taking you through a beginner session, mainly just in standing. We're going to be using our glutes, our legs, and really focusing on our core and finding that right core position to maintain the perfect alignment during leg exercises. So let's get right into it. Let's just come into the center of the mat here. We're just going to start with a little bit of a warm up. So just bringing the feet about hip width apart, we're just going to rise up onto the toes as we reach our hands up towards the sky and lower back down. Only taking your heels up as much as you can manage. If that's just a small amount, that's perfectly fine. We're just warming those legs up a little bit. Just go in your own time here, whatever feels good for you. A little bit of a balance challenge to start here. Starting to bring awareness to your breath as well. Breathing in as we reach up to the sky and blowing out on the way down. 2 more. And 1 more. Nicely done. Let's just bring the hands down to the hips now. We're just going to warm up into the quads a little bit, so the thigh muscles here. Let's poke the bottom back, so hinging at the hips, and just bend the knees slightly. So just like a small little mini squat. Having your hands on the hips just helps with that awareness. As we go down, bending the knees, making sure that the knees are following the line of the toes. So we don't want them falling into the center or alternatively going out to the side. We want them really tracking towards the second toe generally is a good guide. Keeping the weight nice and even between the feet. Small little bends. Making sure that we're drawing our ribs down towards our hips to try and keep our core in that neutral position. I'll just turn to the side here so you can see from side on as well. Hinging at the hips, small little bends. Coming back to standing, small bend, back to standing. So as you can see, as I bend down, I'm not losing that position and arching through my back. I'm keeping that core connected and strong. Again, drawing awareness to the breath here. For 3 more. And 1. Nicely done. All right, let's get into things. So we're going to start by working both our standing leg and also our moving leg, working into the glute muscles. So we're going to start with just some little toe taps. So I want you to find yourself in the center of the mat, just like we were before. We're going to start by standing on our right leg. Just come up onto the toes of the left foot here. We want to lift that right arch up so we have nice alignment through our knee and our hip, and we're not rolling in towards the mat there. So gently drawing that arch up away from the mat, heavy through the heel onto the mat as well. We're going to softly bend that right knee if you can. Throughout all of these as well, if you feel unsteady or have any issues with your balance, I would recommend doing them nearby a wall so you can hold on to if you need, or grab a chair and have that to hold on to in front or at the side as well. I'll just give you a moment to grab one of them if you need, and then we'll get right into it. So as I said, soft little bend in the knee. We want to keep that rib to hip connection, hinging ever so slightly at the hips. When you're ready, we're going to take the toe out to the side, tapping, and returning to the center. So just starting with a little tapping motion. So pointing the leg really long, almost like a ballet dancer. So you really want to reach and lengthen that leg. The rest of the body, we want to stay nice and still. So as I said, if you're feeling a bit wobbly here doing this, I would recommend grabbing something to hold on to. Otherwise, really trying to focus on that balance. You can think about finding a fixed spot on the floor to stare at, or even having your hands out to the side can help. If you're on a mat today, sometimes when they're a little bit thicker, that can actually challenge the balance as well. So you can always try this with shoes on a very flat surface like a wooden floor or something like that as well. So as we go through this, we're really focusing on working the glute muscles, so those bottom muscles on our standing leg here. You might be starting to feel them. And we're also working the legs in the, the muscles in the leg that's moving. Now stay with me. If you can, we're gonna add in a little lift. So we're extending out, lifting up and down a little bit and returning to center. Extend, lift, lower, return. So it's just a very small movement. That one was very small, sorry. Again, challenging the balance a little bit. We want to make sure that we're really focusing on using that glute muscle on the outside of our hip. Hands out to the side can sometimes help. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel that bit of burning in my standing leg. If you need a rest at any time, just come out, give your legs a little bit of a shake, have a breath, and join back in when you're ready. I like to hold my hips just to get a feel that they're staying nice and stable and my back's not arching at all. We've got 2 more here. Last one. All right, let's stay out to the side here. Have a stand up and a quick little shake if you need. And then we're softening that knee again on the right leg. If you're with me here, we're just going to try for some small little lifts. Trying to keep the body as upright as possible, but you may find that you need to tilt a little bit to get a bit more range. That's okay, we're still getting that activation here. Again, only lifting up as far as you can control. We want to try and make it a slow lift and lower. We don't want to be dropping up and down like this. Really focusing on that movement, bringing attention to these muscles working, and the standing leg should be a bit burny. 3 more. Nicely done. Coming back to center. Give the legs a nice shake out. We've got all of that to do on the other side as well. All right, so setting up into that starting position. This time our weight is staying on our left leg. So we want to lift up that arch and soften that knee a little bit. Coming up onto the toes of the right foot just to get ourselves steady. Our hips are nice and level here. We're not lifted up or collapsing through the side here. So by activating those glute muscles on this hip, that allows us to keep our hips level and really work those muscles correctly. So from here, we hinge slightly forward, soft knee, arches lifted, ribs down towards the hip for that nice neutral spine position. We're tapping out to the side and back in, just like the other side. So pointing the toe long, really extending through all those muscles on the right leg now. Also making sure as we tap out to the side, we're going directly to the side. We don't want to be rotating through the hip and opening up. Again, working into this standing leg as well as our moving leg. Using the breath. Focusing on that balance. Doing well here. For 5. 4, really lengthen. 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to add in that little lift if you can. Stepping out, lift, lower, back in. So again, this is going to challenge your balance a little bit more too. You can release your hands or have something to hold on to, a chair or the wall nearby if you need. Really squeezing that muscle on the outside of the hip to lift the leg. We ideally want the rest of the body to be nice and still. Heavy through the standing leg. Let's go for 2 more. And 1, I think. All right, staying there. If you need to release and have a bit of a wiggle, please do. Soft bend in the knee again, hinging at the hips. Let's see if we can just lift that leg up, finding our balance on our left leg here. Just like the other side, you might need to just shift your weight a little bit more to be able to lift and lower that leg. We want to control this movement, so not up and down quickly. Small little motions, nice and controlled. Doing really well. Hopefully feeling a bit of burning in this standing leg. If not, really focus on pressing the heel down into the mat. For 5. Oh, I'm getting wobbly. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Coming back to center. Again, let's give those legs a little bit of a wiggle. You can give the muscles at the side of the hip a bit of a rub as well. Turning to the side now so I can demonstrate here. If you like, you can definitely stay facing the same direction. We're just going to now move into an exercise for the glutes as well as the hamstrings. So bringing, again, starting with one foot up on the toes here. Which leg did we just work? The right. Let's start with the left leg flat and the right leg up onto the toes. We're actually going to stay in this position as we move through this exercise. So we're going to just bring that right leg a little bit further behind, so almost in line with the back of the heel. You can also take it a little bit wider out to the side, so you've got a wider base of support here. From here, again, we're lifted up through that arch on the left leg, soft bend through the knee, and slightly hinged at the hips. So if you can see that position there, I've got my core engaged, neutral spine, ribs down towards the hips. From here, we're going to reach the hands out in front if you can. If not, grab a chair in front or have a wall nearby. We're just going to hinge forward through the body, stretching and lengthening into the glute muscle here and the hamstrings, and then returning back to standing. So if you've done a deadlift before, this is a very similar movement. We've just got that right leg for some nice support so that we're not getting wobbly at all. If you need to adjust your positioning, that's fine, please do. The really big focus here is on really hinging there, sticking that bottom back, maintaining that neutral spine, that rib to hip connection. If we're arching through the back, we're not going to get an effective work or effective activation through that glute and those hamstrings. So really hinging, lowering. We're not bending the knee here, we're really focusing on that hinge movement. So although we have a soft bend in the knee, as we lower down, we're not bending it further into more a squat position. We're maintaining that soft bend and hinging at the hips, and then focusing on squeezing that muscle to return back to standing. Doing well. Really concentrating. Using that breath, inhale and exhale. Make sure you're not holding your breath at all. Let's go for 2 more. Well done. Swapping to that other side here. So right leg stays on the mat now, arches lifted. Left leg toes come in line with the heel. Hips are both facing towards the front. We're hinging forward, soft through the right knee and the left knee. Arms out in front or holding the wall nearby or a chair. We continue to hinge forward, squeezing that glute to return back to standing. Hinging forward, returning back up. Keeping that neutral spine position. You can hold on to your hips if you'd prefer, so that you can get a feeling of any movement occurring there. Otherwise, having one hand on the front and back can help with that facilitation as well. As I lower down, I like to also think about drawing the belly button in towards the spine. It is tempting with gravity to let the belly go. So almost opposing that force can be helpful as well. Let's stay here for 4 more. Nice and even through both feet, but really focusing on that heel of the right leg. We're hinging there. 1 more here. Very nicely done. All right, staying on the side here, we're going to move into a couple of lunges. So starting with that left leg again, left leg is going to stay in front. Our right leg is going to step back. We want to think about being on train tracks. So both hips face forward towards the front. As always, we're lifting the arch of that standing leg, so the left foot to start with. We're going to step back with the right leg. If you can get your balance here in sort of this A-frame position, that is perfect. Again, if you need something to hold on to, that is perfectly fine too. From here, we're going to lower down, bending the knees and squeezing back up. This is challenging on the balance. Hands out to the side can help. Just starting with a small movement, if that feels good for you. If you can take yourself a little bit lower, please do. You might need to take that back leg out a little bit further. We want to aim for the legs to be at about a 90-90 angle when we bend down. Really working the front leg, squeezing through those glutes to lift back up into standing. Making sure we aren't rotating through the hips. We're not here for long, doing really well. Really focusing on the control of this movement. As I said, if you need to hold on and just take it down a small amount and back up, that's perfect. Let's go for 3 more. 2 and 1. And stepping back in. Swapping to the other side. Our right leg is our standing leg this time. We're stepping back into that A-frame position with our left leg. Both hips face towards the front. Soften through the knees. Arches lifted on the right leg. Cores engaged, ribs down towards the hips. Bending the knees. Starting small as you feel into this movement. And then progressing to a deeper lunge if that feels good for you. If you need to adjust your position, please do. Making sure the legs are wide like they're on a train track. Not fully extending and coming up. We're keeping that soft little bend to continue working. As we bend down again, aiming for that 90-90 position of the legs. And the weight goes directly down. We're not leaning forward or backwards. We've got 5 more here. Heavy through that front heel to really engage those glutes. Whoops. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful work. Alrighty, let's just come down to the mat and we're just going to finish off this little quick leg standing session with a stretch of those muscles we've been working. So bringing one just into this sort of hand supported position, bringing one heel ankle over the opposite thigh. Just go carefully here. We then want to think about pressing this knee away from the body. The hips are going to stay level. Really wanting to feel this stretch into the outside hip here of that bent knee. To enhance this stretch, pressing that knee further away, or you can bring your body in closer to the leg, which will increase it as well. Having a couple of big breaths here as you feel into that stretch. One more big breath. And then just gently release there. So take your time as we swap over. And then other side. Knee bends in, other heel goes towards the thigh. And we're pressing that front bent knee away. Feeling that into this hip here now. Should hopefully feel like a good stretch. A few nice big breaths as we slow down here. Again, walking yourself in will intensify that stretch as you press against and come closer. One more big breath. And then releasing there gently, nice and slowly. Give the legs a little bit of a wiggle if that feels good for you. One more big deep breath. All right, all done for today's beginner session. I hope you feel like you're getting more and more confident with each session you do, and you'll be onto the more challenging workouts in no time, I'm sure. I look forward to seeing you next time.